Thank you, and welcome to the Spotlight live from Washington, D.C. Welcome to all our viewers across the globe. Welcome to our viewers in Cameroon. Welcome to our viewers here in the US and in Europe. It is another day, and we are getting into the final stages of the 2025 presidential elections in Cameroon. A lot has been happening of late, and with me today, I have
Today I have
an eminent
an
group
eminent
of panelists
group of
who
panelists.
will be discussing the issues and some of the recent happenings in the country. In the studio with me is our permanent consultant, Kenneth D. Kenneth, welcome.
Thank you, brother.
And remotely, we have Hubert Kamwa. He's a political consultant and I think affiliated with the CBDM. Hubert, welcome.
Thank you, Brother Tabernier. It's always a pleasure to see you.
It's a long time. How are you doing?
Doing quite well. Yeah, quite well. Thank you.
Praise God. And in Europe, we have Alexis, is that Kamene or Kamwe? Forgive me if I didn't get the name right. He's the SDF president in Europe. Alexis, welcome to the spotlight.
Thank you for the invitations, and thank you also for, thank you for inviting us. And I would like to use the occasion to greet all the panelists who are also on the board today and greet all the Cameroonians who are going through a very difficult moment right now. And I hope that on 12th of October, we're going to end this, I would say, nightmare we have started already in 1982.
Thank you. We are looking forward to a robust conversation this afternoon here with us, evening where you are. We would also be joined by Donald Mienga, who is the representative of the MRC party. Gentlemen, if you have another audio device or video device, please you can switch that off because the echo is affecting the sound that we have in the studio. I'm gonna go straight into it with the most recent outburst of the first daughter of the republic. Hubert, is this a watershed moment with the declaration of Brenda Bier, who seems literally to uh, be estranged from the family with her declaration that she would not only be voting for her father, but is calling on Cameroonians not to vote equally for the candidacy of her father. Is this a turning point within the CPDM government?
Thank you for that question, Brother Tabernier. And not at all. Again, this speaks to the political plurality and freedom of speech and expression. That is the cornerstone of our political philosophy. Everyone, including the first daughter, has the right, she's an adult, she has the right and the freedom to express herself the way she feels. And this is just a testament again to the fact that, we are a country where diversity of opinions are well respected. Watershed moment is you're giving her weight that she doesn't have. We understand that she's been doing these outings back and forth, and I'm not sure if there are some issues of bipolarity there. I'm not a medical professional, but I'll leave it at that. It's a non-event, and we'll move on to everything. So we have a great challenge in front of us, and that's where we are focusing our energies.
Uh, Alexis, how significant is Brenda's declaration that she will not be voting for her father and is equally calling on Cameroonians not to vote for her father? Alexis?
We are HCF, and the SCF is a very, how I'm going to say, Republican Party. And basically, we don't comment things we are, I would say, internal issues. And this is an internal issue to the family, dear. But nevertheless, it's not only about what she has, the last outcome of this, I would say, girl, of this, I would say, the daughter of our president. We have been we have we have seen in the past several times the outcome of these, I would say, young girls, and the young girls is the face of the. I would say it's a, we say it's like the top of the iceberg. What the presidential family has been doing, and in other countries, this will become a big scandal. But in Cameroon, and for me, it's very clear to see that CPDM is just saying that it's not even. It's not even because they have been treating all, I would say, the news or everything which is happening in Cameroon like a non-even. This is showing that even the president has failed with their own kids. The president has failed in their own family. And the president has failed in over 43 years that he has been running the power in Cameroon. And for me, I welcome if this girl finally, come to the good conclusion, the same conclusion we in the SDF we have seen already, since 1919 that Mr. Bia has failed. And those people who are endorsing Mr. Bia since 1990, they have failed. And it's time for us to give this young girl the possibility to get, I would say, to give Mr. Bia first the time to take care of his own family. The Chinese people say the biggest and the most important project that you have in your life, it's not building cars, it's not building street, it's building your own family. And people will be judged in the way how they have success in their own family. And their own family, most important, as our children. And I think we have been seeing the outcome of this girl. It's not the first time. It's not going to be the last time. And I think the time has come for Mr. Bia to step out and go and take care of his family. And we Cameroonian as well. Also, we say, Mr. Bia, you have failed in building this country, and the time is over, and you should step out and go. And this is why SDF is standing. SDF is standing for the right of the children. SDF is standing for the right of the family. SDF is standing for the right of a retirement. You cannot lead a country with 90, I don't know, 91, 92 years old. It's not possible. So, and therefore, we have seen what is happening in the family, in his family. It's also the proof that this guy has failed.
Alexis, before, thank you for that contribution. But before I get to Kenneth, I'm going to go back to Hubert. Hubert, can you just dismiss the outburst by Brenda as a kid who is estranged to the family, and consequently her opinion doesn't count, but you will not deny the fact that uh, her position is trending. I think I saw that on DW, I saw that on TVSeng. News Central Nigeria is actually running a program this afternoon on that. But I can understand what you're saying as far as the CPDM is concerned. She practically is not a member of the CPDM party, if at all. She's a card-carrying member. But can we just dismiss just and say, you know what, we gotta move to important things and not consider that there is a problem within the house. As they say, charity begins at home. If you're divided in the house, how would you not be divided publicly? Hubert.
Thank you, Tavernier. So just one more, and again, we have to respect the privacy of individuals and separate politics and private life. What is more concerning is that the fact that she is saying she's not good for going to vote for CPDM. Okay, but is she endorsing another party? You see, sometimes those things get hidden in the details. She just comes out and says, and it's fine. Again, I have just told you that this is just a issue of a private matter. She says, just as any citizen can get up and say that they're not voting for Parbia or for the CPDM party candidate. That's fine. I'm just trying to put that in context. Usually, if it's an endorsement of another party, say if she had endorsed SDF for Joshua for from the SDF, or if she had endorsed Roma, that would put out the bang. In that case, we know she's but a decent. We can come up and say I'm not voting for somebody. It doesn't really mean it doesn't mean anything besides a vote that we probably may have lost. Paul Biya has a lot of children. She's not the only one, and the rest of the children are doing fine. We have heard about Frank Biya, who is an upright and well-meaning Cameroonian son. They're all quiet. And if there is one dissent, if there is one disagreement in the family structure, that doesn't say that the family has failed. We stick with the basic principles of humanity: freedom of expression, freedom of thought, and freedom of opinion.
Thank you, Hubert. Kenneth, I would come back to you with the same question. How significant is that? I think sometimes it is easy for you to point to the positive within the family, like what Hubert is doing, but dismiss the negative within the family, with the case of Brenda Bia. But again, I'm asking myself not to completely dismiss what Hubert is saying. She sounds as if she's estranged from the family, but she's in Switzerland, living under the expense of the same family. She's not working. So, how do you reconcile this aspect? Is she just coming to speak to Cameroonians and giving them this false hope that I am completely separated from my family because either they are trying to kill me and do not vote for my father in the upcoming elections, but she's still living at the expense of the same family?
Thank you, Brado. Brenda is the first child to the incumbent President Paul Biya and his now wife Chantal Vigouroux Biya, nee Chantal Vigouroux. Brenda bears the name of Paul Biya's mother. I think she's Anastasie Eyenga. This is a mature lady today because I think she's almost 30 years old. She's about 6 years older than when her own mother got married to Paul Biya. Her mother got married at, I think she was about 24 or so. We cannot ignore what is happening to Brenda and just state, as Mr. Kamwa is saying, it's a non-event. CPDM will want to do everything to downplay what is happening to Brenda. But the truth has to be said, okay? Paul Biya has been in esoteric circles has been controlled by very demonic entities in Cameroon for a very, very long time. I remember in 1986 when he claimed that he was afraid of Raymond Bernard. Raymond Bernard was the founder of CESES to come and exorcise the presidency. And $2 billion francs CFA came out of the coffers of SNI for Raymond Bernard to exercise the presidency. Raymond Bernard died today, and his son Christian Bernard at some point took over CESES. But the key issue is this. Not only is Brenda a problem, let's just say psychologically, but Paul Biya Jr., we don't even hear from him. It is rumored that he is on some side of the autistic spectrum. But Brenda today, she presents herself and makes a call to Vondo Ayolo, and instead of this man helping her, he is basically provoking her, teasing her, and telling her, oh, if she takes overdose, then she may end up dying. Well, the reality is that with the full demonic legion of demons that her father, Mr. Paul Biya, has been involved in Grand Lodge National Français, the Freemasonic Order, AMOC, the Ancient Mystical Order of Rosicrucians, and so on and so forth. These guys, they make sacrifices, and it wouldn't surprise me that in order to hang on to this power, these sacrifices, you have Famine Dongo, and long time ago, the colonel at the presidency, Benaye and Peke. These are the people who used to do all those demonic things, and still today, Fandongo and all these, they continue to do those Freemasonic rituals. So Brenda has most likely been spiritually, let's just say, spoiled, for lack of a better word. And she's complaining. Why shouldn't she complain? So if you can put your own family in that situation, what more of Cameroon? But Biya doesn't care. He wants they've sacrificed their children.
Uh, Thank you, Kenneth, and I would like to welcome Donald Menge of the MROC party who now has joined us in the studio. I think, Donald, the question was, how significant is the declaration of our first daughter, Brenda Bia, that she's not going to be voting for the father and is appealing to Cameroonians not to vote for the father based on 43 years of pain and suffering that the father has inflicted to Cameroonians?
Ok, je vais répondre en français si. Euh, pour moi, la sortie de Brenda Bia, c'est un non-événement. Un non-événement parce que nous savions que cette jeune fille ne va pas bien et l'éducation qu'elle a reçue de ses parents, quand on vous dit que vous êtes, qu'on insulte votre enfant qu'il est mal élevé, je pense qu'on insulte beaucoup plus ses parents en lui disant, en les faisant comprendre qu'ils n'ont pas su assurer l'éducation de leur enfant. Donc pour moi, la sortie de Brenda Bia, pour moi, c'est vraiment, vraiment un non-événement. Parce que Brenda Bia, qu'est-ce qu'elle représente réellement? Est-ce que sa voix compte? Est-ce qu'elle a une popularité? Est-ce qu'elle est un modèle? Est-ce que des gens peuvent s'identifier à elle en tant qu'une jeune fille de président qui donne l'envie d'être à son niveau ou d'être comme elle? Parce qu'un enfant qui a tout, à qui on a tout donné, mais qui n'a rien. Parce qu'il faut le dire, on a vu la dernière fois dans un pays comme le Cameroun où on réprime, où l'homosexualité est réprimée par la loi, où l'homosexualité est pénalement réprimée par la loi. Mais on a vu Brenda entrer de s'amouracher avec notre femme. Et pour narguer les Camerounais, on a vu Brenda débarquer à Yaoundé avec un jet privé et deux autres femmes à l'intérieur du jet privé. C'est-à-dire que vous venez montrer aux Camerounais davantage que vos lois ne nous concernent pas. Ça concerne que les Camerounais de bas niveau. En fait, cette fille, pour moi, elle souffre d'un problème mental. Elle souffre d'un problème psychologique et sa voix ne compte pas. Brenda Bia ne représente vraiment rien au niveau du Cameroun. Elle ne peut pas influencer 10 Camerounais. Aucun enfant logique, loyal ne peut se refléter à un enfant comme celle-là. Mais il faut dire, elle a besoin plutôt d'être soignée. Elle a besoin qu'on l'accompagne psychologiquement parce que ce qu'elle dit aujourd'hui, ne soyez pas surpris que Brenda Bia sorte encore demain pour vous dire que votez mon père parce que. Donc, pour moi, ce qu'elle a dit, je considère que c'est un enfant qui est dans la dépression, qui agit sur l'action des stupéfiants parce qu'il faut le dire, elle a été bannie des États-Unis à cause des affaires de drogue. Donc, réellement, pour moi, c'est un non-événement. On a un période plus sérieuse.
Donald, I think, let me try to interject. I would disagree that none of us here is a medical doctor. We might not have the accurate diagnosis whether Brenda Bia, has mental problems or mental issues. But it is hard for anyone not to say that her declaration, which is not trending major international media houses like Davis and DW, I think Reuters also run that. There are TV stations in Nigeria that are also running that. What we want to know, in as much as I would agree with you that in the grand scheme of things, she might really not matter. But how significant is that declaration? Because this is the first time that is happening. She didn't do that last in 2008. She didn't do that in 2018. And now she finds time not to only denounce the father and pointing that the father has tortured Cameroonians, and it is about time that people should turn the page.
Ok. Comme le général Vassero aime souvent le dit, lorsque, il dit souvent, lorsque le changement devient inéluctable, même les actes de conservation deviennent des actes de changement. Ça veut dire que, je dis encore, la sortie de Brenda, elle a ses raisons. Elles peuvent être personnelles. Mais je ne pense pas que ces raisons personnelles, c'est un élément de sensibilisation. Et lorsque on veut prendre le point de vue de quelqu'un qui a une popularité ou qui a un dit, on tient compte d'un certain nombre d'effets. Que représente cette personne au sein de la société? Que représente cette personne au sein de la communauté? Est-ce que c'est parce que son père est président? Elle-même, elle sait, elle ne nous informe de rien sur l'âge de son père, sur les incompétences de son père, sur les lobbies qui se passent à la présidence. Tous les Camerounais le savent. Mais est-ce que la voix de Brenda Bia peut avoir un impact? Est-ce que cela peut avoir une influence? Est-ce que cela peut amener un certain nombre d'électeurs à changer d'avis? Je ne pense pas, parce que, comme je dis encore, elle ne représente pas un modèle d'enfant qui a un succès. Elle ne représente pas un enfant qui donne envie de suivre ce qu'elle dit. Parce que même quand vous dites par exemple qu'il n'y a pas un médecin pour définir si elle a un problème psychologique, vous pensez sincèrement qu'un enfant de président de la République peut se mettre sur les réseaux sociaux, boire du whisky, fumer, présenter ses nudités? Ce n'est pas possible. Il faut avoir un problème mental pour, vu ce que votre père représente pour la nation, vous présenter de la sorte. Ça veut dire, un problème physique, on n'a pas tout besoin d'un médecin pour confirmer qu'un fou est fou. Lorsque vous voyez quelqu'un, si vous voyez quelqu'un en train de commencer à se déshabiller, à ramasser la poubelle, à manger n'importe quoi, est-ce que vous avez besoin d'un médecin pour conclure que celui-là qui le fait a un problème mental? Non. Lorsque vous posez certains actes, ça vous amène à définir que vous n'allez pas bien. C'est dans ce sens-là.
All right, we're going to move on. Except Hubert, any
Yes,
redirect
sir.
before I move on?
Thank you so much for doing that.
So I think our focus today, before we started with Brenda, was Isa Chiruma Bakari. Lately, a Kane of Manindem and Jokam, is that Jokam?
Jacob Chamini.
Jokam Chamini came out and declared Isa Chiruma Bakari as a consensus candidate. The question I'm going to ask the panel: should the other opposition leaders fall behind Isa Chiruma as a consensus candidate?
Okay.
Kenneth, I will start with you.
Yes. So, Jekam Chameni was here with us. And back in the early 90s, Jekam Chameni was of Cap Liberté. I really fundamentally fail to understand how, if amongst 12 declared candidates, the common enemy, in this case Paul Biya, the other 11 sit together in a round table fashion or what have you, or they have consultative meetings, and then I suppose they should come up with a consensus candidate, as it were. What role where does Jekam Chameni and who was the other person? I think there were two of them.
Anise Kane.
Anise
Of
Kane.
Manidem.
Yeah, of Manidem. Well, let's just say Jekam Chameni. How do you two, especially you and Jekam Chameni, sit down and according to you two, you have a consensus candidate? I mean, and there are 11 other candidates. 11 other candidates. If Anise Kane's candidate was the former MRC chairman Maurice Kamto, so which therefore means that, I mean, honestly, I don't understand. If perhaps Jekam Chameni's role is to create confusion and seed confusion in this matter. If the other 11 candidates sat together, or even 5 candidates sat together and said Isa Tchiroma was their candidate of choice, they rallied around him, we would understand. But
was that a strategic move? Donald, let me come back to you. Is Chiruma just being a politician, taking advantage of the situation? Now, if Anise Kane had your president, Maurice Kamto, to be the flag bearer of Manidem party, and then now they are endorsing Chiruma, should Professor Kamto fall in line in that same respect?
Je vais commencer par mes propos par cette parole de l'évêque de Yagua qui avait dit que mieux même le diable d'abord. Mieux même le diable d'abord. Il faut le dire, le professeur Maurice Kamto a été écarté de façon injuste sur des preuves fabriquées au niveau par le gouvernement camerounais, au vu de tout le monde. Au vu c'est-à-dire que tout le monde, tous les Camerounais ont vu comment on a fabriqué un faux document, présenté, modifié le site du ministère pour écarter la candidature de Maurice Kamto. Et comme l'avait dit si bien dit Gandhi, ne rien dire face à une position d'injustice, c'est prendre position. Maurice Kamto pour éviter tout ce qui allait se passer, a dit ok, vous avez dit qu'il faut respecter la loi, il s'est retiré. On est dans une phase historique du Cameroun où nous ne savions pas ce qui va se passer demain. Personne ne peut prédire ce qui pourra arriver au Cameroun demain. Il est temps qu'à un moment, on se dise que si le SDF en 92 avait eu l'assentiment de la majorité de la population, c'est parce qu'il avait été soutenu par un certain groupe. Et parfois, il faut un élément déclencheur. Ça veut dire que le fait, par exemple, de mettre, d'adouber que Anissé Kane, Dieu Kamtameni et certains acteurs de la société civile essaient de dire, nous pensons que Tchiroma est l'homme de la situation, partant sur un certain nombre de critères, c'est d'abord pour dire, voilà la base, le nœud. Parce qu'il faut dire que chaque fois qu'on essaye d'aller s'asseoir autour d'une table pour définir le candidat consensuel, on ne trouve jamais une solution. Par contre, il serait préférable de partir sur le principe de voici le candidat que nous estimons mieux et derrière lui, d'autres peuvent suivre. Issa Tchiroma, je tiens à le dire, moi personnellement, en tant que militant du MRC, je ne parle pas au nom de mon parti, je parle d'abord à mon nom personnel pour dire que pour moi personnellement, c'est le meilleur choix. Pour moi, en tant que militant MRC, ce choix, c'est le meilleur choix. Pourquoi? Il faut comprendre qu'on est dans un pays où les lois, Monon Diana le disait, ça veut dire que les lois ne sont faites que pour les faibles. Parce que gagner les élections au Cameroun, c'est une chose. Entrer à étudier, c'est une autre chose. C'est-à-dire que gagner votre élection, c'est une chose. Déclarer que vous avez gagné votre élection, c'est la deuxième chose. Et entrer à étudier, c'est la troisième chose. Et il faut le dire, ce gouvernement s'appuie à chaque fois sur des codes qu'ils ont fabriqués pour pouvoir aller contre la vie de la population. Et il va falloir un candidat qui a une notoriété, qui a une population qui est prête à se battre pour leur victoire, qui est prêt à se sacrifier s'il le faut pour la victoire. Parce que lorsque on va gagner les élections qui vont venir, on vous dira, seuls les procès-verbaux délais comme font foi. Ça veut dire que vous auriez gagné les élections dans le nord, au sud. On vous présente les procès-verbaux comme on a fait en 2018 en vous disant, vos procès-verbaux ne comptent pas, c'est les procès-verbaux que nous avions qui comptent. Il serait mieux de trouver un candidat que la population sera prête à défendre, je dis bien à défendre de façon rageuse leur victoire. Qu'on comprenne que la loi existe, mais lorsque cette loi est à chaque fois violée, elle devient un problème. Parce qu'il faut le dire, par exemple, aux États-Unis, la ségrégation était une loi. Il a fallu que les gens meurent, se battent pour qu'on retire cette loi. Si à chaque fois qu'on crée des lois, cette loi n'est faite que pour être lue quand ça arrange le gouvernement, il va falloir que nous sachions que 2025, on a besoin d'un candidat, on a besoin d'un nouveau mindset de la population pour pouvoir non seulement voter, gagner, mais défendre de façon hargneuse la victoire.
Okay. Alexis, on that same question, but I would like to tweak that a little bit. A lot of people are arguing that it is disingenuous for the opposition to be clamoring for a single candidate now, after each and every one of them, for those who have been retained, paid 30 million francs as combined the 11 presidential candidates, that is 330 million francs CFR that was paid into the government. Is it a little bit late for them now to come in and say we want a single presidential candidate after they have given the government sizable chunk of the money that they're supposed to use during the campaign? Does that make any sense? Is it the system or the failure of the opposition to have a unique candidate that would influence elections in Cameroon?
So, thank you again. Thank you. The question is a very important question. First of all, let me maybe set some I would say some base, because people are discussing today about consensus or discussing about um, the unique or coalitions, but people are forgetting that many parties have started building their coalition before, and they even have their own consensus as well. What I want to say we did is very simple. That we, for example, in the SDF, we started already in 2023. As many of them were still, I would say, working where I don't want to jump into. And then we work with the syndicate. Today we do have 13 federation of syndicate, and we are working together with 11. And the reason why we were doing that is exactly what my colleagues from MSCC before. We want to have polling agent in every ballot station. In 2019, there was only 3% of the people who were in the ballot stations. They did not have all the PV. And then when we go to the Constitutional Court, we got what we had there. The SDF today say we have about 35,000 polling stations, and we would like to cover each 35,000 polling station with at least 3 people. And the reason why we want to do that is that we want to avoid what happened in 2018. Then we brought together the party of, I would say, the left party in Cameroon. And today, with about 15 parties, we have already a coalition. The last one was the CRP that joined the SDF in our coalitions. Of course, the SDF is still open to talk with everyone. And we are not closing the door to anyone who would like to come. Even if we say that we are, the I don't know, the man from the fan or from the church who say even if the devil comes, the devil is better than Mr. Bia. But today we still have people who are better than the evil. Why should I go and choose the evil? So, and then based on that one, the SDF say we are 11 party.
Parce que Joshua dit, hein,
That's okay, we'll get to that. Go ahead, go ahead.
No, excuse me. You are not. I'm not talking, and this one I will not allow you to come and talk about SDF where you don't know what you are talking. Today you are talking with the regional chairman, and it's a very important to sit and listen one time what we are saying. The bullshit and the bashing that you have been doing everywhere has to stop. In the SDF, and I'm giving you the position of the SDF. You cannot give me your position of your party, and then you should stop. When you are listening to the SDF, you should listen to the SDF and not listening to somewhere else.
Alexis,
I'm not talking about your party because you are not my enemy. The only enemy I have is the CPDM.
Let's focus on the issues. Go ahead.
So, yes. So I was saying that we are open and we can talk with everyone. But we have some criteria we need to be filled. And we are saying clearly that if you want to talk with the SDF, and everyone knows that SDF stands for Federalists, we are the only party in Cameroon writing the Federalists in our own constitution. All those parties that you have seen today they are saying that we are Federalists, and the day after, no, we are for centralization. And this is why the war in the Northwest and the Southwest started. So SDF said, those are my conditions. And those conditions, we need to sit and talk together. This is exactly what you are doing in the country where you are. You are living in the US, you are living in Europe, but you want to treat Cameroon like, I don't know, whatever. So when we come together, we sit together, we talk together, we come to the conclusion, as we did already with the 11 Federation of the Syndicate, as we did already with 15 political parties. then why the SDF cannot work with those people? But as per today, no one, and I'm saying it, no one has come to the SDF and asked the SDF to work with them. We SDF, and I can tell you that I have meeting in 2020, in 2023 with some parties, including MSC during our Congress. We give the invitation, we are open. We did the same during the burial of Pa. I was in Baminda, in Grand Place. I was in Baba. So we are open to talk to everyone, and Joshua Osi has said it several times. Now we are coming to a place where we were telling to the people that before we pay those 30 million, let us come and talk together. Some of them were not ready to talk. This is not an issue. Politics is about having argument, and the SDF is still open. Everyone who is coming, you have seen many parties who joined the SDF. We never say to them, no, we don't want you to join us anymore.
Okay. Um, uh,
So, Mr. Chiroma, let me end here.
okay.
Mr. Chiroma and those people who are endorsing Mr. Chiroma, this is their staff, and this is a politic. This we should, and then I'm sure. And I don't want to blackmail Mr. Chiroma because I know Mr. Chiroma from 1990, I know Mr. Chiroma from 2004. And I don't want to blackmail. The Cameroonian people have their own mind about Mr. Chiroma. And they know who SGF is, they know who Joshua Osi is. And today, we know for what we are standing. And everyone will know that they are standing on the same thing, like on the same opposition as SGF. They should come. Mr. Chiroma is not an adversary for us. He's not our enemy. And I don't want to spend that much about him.
Thank you. Hubert, as the ruling party, the dispersed ranks of the opposition seems to be music in the ears of the adherents of the CPDM. But is Chiruma the candidate that the regime fears the most to face?
Thank you, Tabenyang. I should say that we don't have a posture of fear. I think we have a posture of readiness. Readiness based on our record. And not to repeat what is obviously a reality, you can see the traffic of international dignitaries coming to Etudi, the Unity Palace, to conduct business. And this is a salient endorsement of the regime that is in place in our dear republic. The CPDM has always been focused on unity and diversity. It is not a party that is which has just one ideology. We have a big tent philosophy, as I've spoken here. And if you see in the political operations of our country, I think Paul Biya is actually the real consensus candidate for all these years. And the CPDM and its governing instruments have representatives from every nook and cranny of the country. This is what has guaranteed the stability, that peace and stability that you have experienced for these 40 something years. And this is what we still want to project in the future. Cameroon, as you know, is a very diverse land. They call it Le Continent for obvious reasons. And it takes a special political astute leader to be able to put all this together and move forward. Of course, there's been some challenges and they continue to be. I'm just saying this just to say that, there is no fear in our game. It's readiness. I have a litany of talking points that I can share with you about what we think are the positives of our party and what we project moving forward. It's very easy, and you know this. It's easy to come up with ideas. Ideas are cheap. It's where rubber meets the road. Execution is where the work is. And don't forget, Cameroon doesn't just exist in an island. We belong to a family of nations that are also observing They know the challenges of our country and our sub-region, and they understand the importance of having steady hands at the helm of state. And this is what we are projecting. It's not a fear issue. We actually appreciated the outing of MRC and their leader. And of course, the law came down, and we respect the gavel of the law. I think we are also very impressed by Camto for accepting the rule of that law and moving forward with his political adventures. Is
Thank you
that
very much.
Chiroma? Yeah, I just want to put this in. Is that Chiroma is these are a chips of the old blocks, if I might say. You know, these are all fallen engines of the CPD and Paradise, and he's just a disgruntled rebel candidate who is trying to up his political chips in the history of the politics of our country. He is nowhere and in no form or shape a consensus candidate. If anything, he's a political polarization candidate, which is dangerous to the ideal and dream of national unity, which is so dear to CPDM.
Thank you. Kenneth,
Yeah,
is there a follow up to what
indeed. Let
Hubert
me
is
follow up.
saying? To go back again, among all the political leaders, I can hear Alexis passionate about Joshua, but somehow strategically, even if we dismiss what Anisette and Jokam came out and declared that Tchiroma is the consensus candidate, he has basically stolen the spotlight, meaning that everybody is now talking about Tchiroma, not Akeremuna, not Joshua, not Cabralibi, uh, not Njoya, and a host of other candidates that are in the race. And that comes back to my question. Given these circumstances, I think there's a video circulating about his rally in Betua that was massively attended. Should he be the consensus candidate?
Well, um, Brado, let me just piggyback a little bit and then I'll come back to this particular point of Issa Chiroma being the consensus candidate. Um, an article came out in Jeune Afrique which called the opposition in Cameroon la plus bête opposition. Now, the whole we've been 90 the East whatever wall in the USSR came down roughly in 1990. We're 35 years from 1990, and SDF coincidentally was founded in 1990. We're 35 years away from there, and Paul Biya has always, let's just say, declared himself winner of elections in Cameroon. In fact, Paul Biya never ran for any political office his entire life, but he has been at the helm of power since 1975. It's been 50 years that Paul Biya has been in power, the Louis Paul Ojula class. So if this class of people have been ruling Cameroon since they took out André Marie Mida, why? Why on earth? We need a paradigm shift from that Louis Paul Ojula class. Why would SDF, MRC, and all these other 11, why? I mean, regardless of the work that, whether it's MRC has done, whatever it is SDF has at all polling stations today, why can all of you 11 folk not synergize? And as Maurice Canto put it, have the person whom you are assured that will kick that penalty and score. Must it be, I mean, pick whoever. You have a common enemy. We're 21 days away from October 12th, and we still have a 90-something-year-old man almost senile. And you cannot come together. I mean, come on now, guys. Okay. Mr. Hubert Kamwa is saying things in typical, I don't know. You see, this regime, Paul Biya, has taken Cameroon to a certain extreme that patent absurdity has been normalized in that country. It's really unfortunate. We cannot be on a TV program here and then Hubert Kamwa talks in a very cavalier manner about how important personalities are being received at the presidency. And at the presidency, our unity palace, that is not the headquarters of any political party, let alone CPDM. If anything, it is Amadou Aidjo of CNU who built Unity Palace, not Paul Biya of CPDM. And they are there receiving people, CPDM operatives. The Secretary General, not Jean Kwete, the Secretary General of the Presidency, not Jean Kwete, the CPDM. I mean, it just leaves, it tells you where Cameroon is. It just tells you the extent of the political decadence that is in Cameroon. It's sad. It's sad. Back to Issa Tchiroma. Again, let these guys, whether Njekam Chamini and in fact, Anise de Kane, you see how Cameroon is, and when we talk of our brothers on the French-speaking side, again, it's I don't know, they are not used to parliamentary procedure. They are not. How can Anise de Kane have Maurice Kamto with him, and then a few weeks later he goes on the air with Jekam Chameni, Maurice Kamto is? I mean, are they not still talking? Maurice Kamto has said, he's made a statement the other day, he's observing the political scene and he's hoping that a consensus candidate is in. How can you, Anise Ekane, go ahead without consultations with all your folk? It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. So if like I said, even if 11 of them do not agree on a consensus candidate, even if there are 5 people and that candidate is Issa Tchiroma, great. Great. If they've preempted an announcement in order for it to be him, they started a meeting in Fumban. Fumban, which was our federal constitutional, where the discussion took place with the 2 Cameroons coming together. They started a meeting there. Let them do a follow-up of that meeting and let us know who their consensus candidate is.
I think it's obvious that the meeting was deadlocked and they're not going to move forward. Donald, I hear the passion that maybe you think, like the Bishop of Yagua said, even if it is the devil, it is better than what we have currently in 2D. But at the same time, you're saying that they should make sure that the vote this time around would not be taken for granted. And the youths are going to stand up and fight. But I remember in May, Professor Maurice Kamto in France said the politics that they played in 2018 is not going to happen this time around. And I think it was referencing his potential candidacy. But I think most observers were stunned that after the regime dared the MROC that we were not going to approve the candidacy of Maurice Kamto. After the decision from the Constitutional Court, both Maurice Kamto and the MROC completely disappeared. The people were going around saying Kamto must be on the electoral list. Without Kamto, there's not going to be an election. You practically are not hearing of anyone at all. How really invested in this whole election circle was Maurice Kamto and the people of MROC? And it's a little bit cynical, to say the least, that now Professor Maurice Kamto has gone back to take over the leadership of MROC. So basically, it was a placeholder for the vice to hold for him to play the game with the man in them. And then after it did not work, he comes back and say, I have the, it is my birthright to get back this position. I don't seem to know whether you understand what I'm saying.
Ok. Il faut dire une chose, c'est que, premièrement, on sait tous que ce professeur Maurice Kamto a décidé d'être investi par le Manidem, c'est parce qu'il est allé dans un débat qu'il a lancé en avant sur le mandat impératif, où, sur le plan juridique, il estimait et avait raison que un député représentait la nation et que lorsque vous êtes plus député de votre parti, ça ne vous ne perdez pas votre droit de député, même en allant dans un autre parti, vous pouvez faire investir un candidat. Il a lancé ce débat en avant et il savait, vu qu'on a un mot au Cameroun, c'est qu'il faut respecter la loi. Même si elle est dure, il faut la respecter. Moïse Kamto a compris qu'en partant par ce chemin, il ne pouvait pas, devant la Cour constitutionnelle, remporter cette victoire. Qu'est-ce qu'il a fait? Il a décidé de prendre le chemin qu'il estimait le plus facile en se faisant adouber par le Manidem. Lorsqu'il s'est fait adouber par le Manidem, j'ai dit tout à l'heure dans mes propos que tout le monde sait que la façon dont la candidature de Maurice Kamto du professeur Maurice Kamto a été écartée, elle s'est faite de façon injuste. Parce qu'on a vu comment le site du MINAT a été truqué. On a vu comment, on sait que c'est M. Anissé Kane qui était tout convoqué comme représentant du Manidem. Nous tous, Camerounais, savions que ce qu'on a fait au professeur Maurice Kamto est illégal. Même si la justice a rendu son verdict, ce que nous savions, c'est qu'elle a été fabriquée pour écarter sa candidature. Maintenant, le professeur Maurice Kamto, se sentant écarté, a pris du recul. C'est un coup dur, pas seulement pour lui, mais même pour nous militants. Parce que nous, les militants, on était engagés dans cette campagne. On savait qu'on devait faire bouger les lignes. Mais je pense qu'on doit être au-dessus de notre parti. On doit être au-dessus de nos pensées, mettre notre pays en avant. Ça veut dire qu'aujourd'hui, qu'on a accepté ce qui s'est passé au Cameroun pour écarter sa candidature, il serait préférable aujourd'hui que le professeur Maurice Kamto, comme il est en train de le faire depuis un certain temps, et comme le grand frère a dit tout à l'heure, il n'y a plus assez de temps, il serait préférable de consulter et de trouver et de donner le mot d'ordre le plus tôt possible. Mais il va falloir le faire en étant sûr que le candidat que nous allons choisir ou qu'ils vont choisir soit un candidat qui épouse la vision de la majorité des Camerounais. Parce qu'il faut le dire, on n'est plus, même ce qu'on nous parle des projets, des programmes. Non, il est question de comment faire pour faire partie M. Mbia. Et après, on verra la suite avec celui qui vient. Donc, actuellement, le professeur Maurice Kamto est rentré, est ressorti du silence parce qu'il a eu un coup dur. Nous, ces militants, on a compris. Il est temps que nous essayons de trouver ensemble qui peut mieux porter la candidature, qui peut mieux pousser. Et vous avez dit quelque chose tout à l'heure. Pourquoi j'ai choisi Issa Tchiroma? Je vous ai dit, moi, ce n'est pas de moi. Je pouvais choisir Joshua. Je pouvais choisir un autre candidat. Mais j'ai choisi Issa Tchiroma parce que vous avez dit, c'est que il faut partir, il faut faire, moi, ce que j'appelle la politique, la réelle politique. La réelle politique, pour moi, c'est quoi? C'est de penser, laissons les idéologies, laissons les programmes politiques, c'est de penser à la politique comme elle va au Cameroun. Est-ce que vous pensez, voilà le Sud, je prends le Sud, quand je parle du Sud, je vous parle du Grand Sud Cameroun. On écarte un candidat. Vous pensez que la victoire de Sonko au Sénégal, c'est parce que la population s'est levée pour dire non à la modification de la Constitution. Les gens sont morts parce qu'on a voulu modifier la Constitution pour conserver l'ancien président qui était là. Et ils se sont levés pour dire que ça ne marchera pas. Et c'est parce qu'ils se sont levés que Sonko a pu être président. Ça veut dire que si la Cour constitutionnelle sénégalaise avait validé la modification de la Constitution, je ne pense pas que Sonko devait être président du Sénégal aujourd'hui. Donc, il faut dire que si la population camerounaise aussi s'était levée pour crier l'injustice comme le professeur Maurice Kamto a eu, et effectivement, on ne devait pas avoir ce problème. Mais je vous rappelle que la machine infernale de cette dictature a ramassé des gens qui partaient juste dans une audience publique pour les conduire au tribunal militaire. Même pas dans un tribunal normal, au tribunal militaire. Et ça n'a indigné personne. Ça n'a indigné aucun parti. C'est-à-dire que je ne pense pas qu'il y a eu des partis politiques qui ont dit ce n'est pas normal d'arrêter des citoyens parce qu'ils partaient à la Cour constitutionnelle pour une audience qui est publique. Aucun parti s'est insurgé par rapport à ça. Donc je pense que nous devrions, on a digéré cela, nous devons mettre ça derrière nous. Et comme le grand frère a dit, il est temps que nous trouvons un moyen de ne pas disperser les voix. Parce qu'il faut dire, la machine du RDPC a, un mot, a une chanson qui met à chaque fois. Si vous n'êtes pas unis, vous ne pouvez pas gagner le RDPC. C'est pour préparer déjà la population à dire que comme ils ne se sont pas unis, c'était qu'ils ne pouvaient pas nous gagner. Même si on voit les élections, ils vont aller sur cette base-là. Par contre, à défaut de ne pas vous unir, il serait préférable que vous mettiez une plateforme de surveillance de vote sur place. Parce que ça me fait rire quand j'entends chaque parti dire que nous on a 25 000 personnes pour les bureaux de vote. Je vous prends un exemple simple. Lorsque vous avez 25 000 ou 35 000 bureaux de vote au Cameroun, ça veut dire que si vous avez vos scrutateurs dans les bureaux de vote, ça veut dire qu'eux-mêmes ils votent pour vous. C'est-à-dire que si vous avez deux scrutateurs dans une, ça veut dire que vous êtes sûr que vous avez 700 000 voix qui vous suivent d'abord. Mais vous entendez les candidats vous dire qu'ils ont des représentants dans tous les bureaux de vote, mais après ils n'ont même pas 10 000 personnes derrière eux. Ça veut dire que vos scrutateurs que vous avez mis dans vos bureaux ont voté pour quelqu'un d'autre.
I think that is a very important take there, Donald. Alexis, if I hear him well, I think he is questioning the rationale that some political parties, like you have indicated earlier, that SDF alone has about 35,000 observers in all the voting precincts and stations across the country. But at the end of the day, when the results will come out, you will realize that not even 10,000 people voted for that political party. So is it just because of the candidate, or is it the system that has been put in place? And I think you of the SDF are quite knowledgeable about the political situation in Cameroon, because in 1992, the same argument that is arguing here that, and I think Hubert tried to echo that Professor Maurice Kamto recognizes the law and has put the interests of the country first instead of his own personal interests, by recognizing that he was not qualified and has gone him and sat quiet even if his militants were not happy with the situation. The SDF did that, and when some were calling for continuous civil war, the SDF and Frundi stood firm that they would only want to go to the true peaceful means. Assuming that all of these sentiments are still there and the conditions are still there, at the end of the electoral process in October, CBDM comes out again as a winner. What exactly is the SDF and the opposition going to do? Because you will see here these same cries. The interest of the country should be paramount. It is not about the opposition or the individual opposition parties. Because it looks like we are heading towards that direction where once a BR is confirmed, because to some of us, the conclusion is already foregone, then you would hear the voices of restraint. It's about the peace and unity of the country. Let's go forward. What is the situation of the SDF? Because at the end of the day, you're looking at the SDF used to be really the front runner of the opposition. But 2-3 weeks into the election, you seem not to see a lot of traction going on. What is really going on within the party? Alexis.
Ok, merci. J'ai noté plusieurs questions et merci. Vous allez me permettre, en tant que personne bilingue, de parler dans une autre langue parce que je veux répondre déjà à quelque chose qui a été mise, qui n'est pas vrai, qui a été mise, qui n'est pas vrai. La première des choses que je veux dire, c'est la construction de la coalition, d'une coalition ou bien d'une alliance. Il y a un grand frère qui vient de le dire tout à l'heure, avant mon camarade, mon ami du MSC. Il a dit qu'il faut un peu un petit sérieux pour construire et qu'on a vu, par exemple, dans la construction, quelqu'un qui aujourd'hui est là et le lendemain, il est de l'autre côté. Et le SIF est très clair et nous avons été très clairs dès le début. Je l'ai dit en anglais, je le redis encore en français. Le SIF est ouvert à tous les autres partis. On discute avec des conditions. Et ce que nous faisons, c'est sur la base de 35 ans d'expérience. Personne n'a cette expérience. Et lors du congrès du SIF, les mêmes partis qui se retrouvent aujourd'hui ont appelé le SIF, lors de leur discours, de prendre ses responsabilités pour organiser une alliance. Et je le dis aujourd'hui parce que j'étais celui qui a conduit ce congrès. Et donc, que ce soit le PCNR, le MRC, les envoyés qui étaient, l'ont dit. Et le SIF a pris son devoir en tant que parti le plus ancien et le plus expérimenté. Et il a essayé de commencer à causer avec tout le monde. Et sûrement, les conversations continuent. Je ne crois pas que le candidat Joshua aussi est dans une posture où il dit aujourd'hui, je vais faire ce que j'ai à faire et si demain, qu'est-ce qui se passe, je vais seulement dire pour la paix, ainsi de suite. No, that is not what we are saying. The SDF is very clear. We say we know, we have the experience of the election. In 2018, even my colleague who is sitting here from the MSC, if he's right, he's going to tell you the truth. That in 2018, we have less than 3% of the party were covering the national territory. And then the CPDM, everywhere where we were not there, the CPDM just write the result they want to have. And then they went with this result to the Constitutional Court and said, this is what we do have, which was even sometimes was not exactly what the people vote. And this is why the SDF and the MSA was saying we want the 32 PV, and we never got it. The Northwest and the Southwest of Cameroon, especially the Northwest, it was 5,000 people who voted there. And 5,000 people are the military who are there. 7 years later, we make a greenfield work. We are telling the people that exactly what my colleague from MSA are saying. We need the people to be in the ballot station. We have 35,000 ballot stations. We are looking after our own people. We are not talking about people we're going to cut from the street. We put them there. We have a system who has been set, and it's a very transparent system. We're going to share with you the result minute by minute. It's the same proposal we have made to everyone. This is the first consensus that we should have as a candidate. Barrister Michelle Doki presented it also yesterday, her own system. And I'm sure there was also the same system that my colleagues from MSA. This is why I say you are not my competitors. You are not my enemy. My enemy, the only enemy I have is CPDM. Now, our strategy is very clear. We're going to kick off we will kick off the campaign in Baminda. And that one I can give you already the exclusivity that we're going to kick off our campaign in Baminda. Just to show you that even in Baminda, where there's insecurity, we are there. We make a ground field, we let the ground field work. The last 2 years, we were not sitting in Yaoundé and talking. We were there in Baminda, we were there in Baba, we were there in Mundemba. We spoke with the people, and we do have now people who are ready to go and vote. Of course, the CPDM is trying with the ghost town, with some people to, make people fear. But the local people will go and vote. And I can read you today, you will see the number of the people who are registered. If I just go for the Southwest, we are talking about 437,000 people who are registered in the Southwest. And in the Northwest, we are talking about 684,000 people who are registered. Who do you mind register those people? We did the groundwork, and we know that those people will go on the street and they will defend their vote. So now, what we want to do is we want the transparency. And after of 12th of October, if the victory of Joshua Osei is not pronounced, you will see what is going to happen in Cameroon. In 1992, the world was different than in 2025. That one I can tell you.
Now,
And today, the world is no more what we used to have in 33 years ago.
all right,
And
I like this.
coming back, yes, please.
No, I think we have seen political parties made those pronouncements before. Like I said, in May, Professor Maurice Kamto said in Paris that they are not going to play those political games this time around that they played in 2018. And after he was dead by the system and dealt a fatal blow that he was not going to qualify as a candidate, all of those threats that you're saying people are going to go onto the streets did not uh, did not happen. And I look at the campaign in Cameroon to say the opposition don't really have the resources to even do a nationwide campaign, let alone to have the resources to sustain people to stay in the streets. Because at the end of the day, a lot of those bag riders, a lot of those buy and sell and mommy and papa, to stay in the streets, they need to put food on the table. They need to pay their rents. And if you don't have a mechanism where you can sustain them financially, it is hard for you to really get people to stay on the street. I'm going to switch a little bit to the last question because of
Yeah,
time,
but
which is policy. But
but let me finish.
I'll give you 30 seconds to finish your thought.
Yes, again, our strategy, we are counting on the people to stand for what they have voted. And when after the elections, we're going to have all the result and the proper result, I think the victory will be pronounced. That one, I'm sure, 100% sure. We are not saying that people are going to take weapons or whatever. This is not what the SDF is standing for. And this is not what Professor Maurice Cantor also stand for. So definitely, we know that Bia cannot win in the in the ballot station. So when the result is writing on the paper showing that the SDF won the elections, that result will be given also everywhere, and no one can contest it, not the constitutional court.
Thank you. Hubert, to come back to you, I know it is hard for anyone who understands the contraption called Cameroon to accept face value what my brother Alexis is saying about the results. Whatever the opposition is going to collect from the polling station, those will be unofficial results. And no one is going to take the official results as the gospel truth. They would want to wait for the pronouncement from the Constitutional Council that is legally uh, uh, required to pronounce the results of the election. I think is that after 2 weeks or something like that. But before you give your thoughts on that, I am looking at the policy. A lot of the opposition candidates have been floating the idea that the first order of the day, if they are elected to the Supreme Magistracy, would be the release of all political prisoners, particularly those of the southern Cameroon. I know Professor Maurice Kamto had indicated that. Joshua is saying that in the first 100 days they're going to solve that. Tchiroma has also said that should the CPDM outsmart the opposition or upstage them by moving forward to releasing those political prisoners and the leadership of the people of Southern Cameroon at this time to show the goodwill that yes, we have been listening and we are looking forward to engaging in genuine dialogue in finding solutions into the problems or myriad of problems that are facing this country. Like you said earlier, that looking forward, how do we collectively engage in resolving these problems? Hubert.
Thank you so much, Tabenyang. I think the CPGM party stands and runs on its record. We are not in a politics of despair or desperation where we play political tricks to gain national favor. It is very clear that the peace and stability of the country stands as our topmost priority. Concerning prisoners and issues of the law, we will leave that to the appropriate authorities and mechanisms of state to deal with that if that is indeed an issue. But I don't think that our party will play such cheap politics as if they are void of records to which on which to run. I wanted to talk to my CDF colleague who keeps calling the CPDM an enemy outfit. We are not playing enemy politics. I think CPDM has been very open to this SDF, and they have governed with the SDF in some respect. And there is a whole lot of amity at higher levels between those two parties. I'm just going to insist on the fact that the CPDM doesn't want to be seen as a party that is usurping the votes of its citizens. You may recall Elecam had exposures to international organizations prior to the elections beginning, and they are always international elections observers. No country, I keep saying this, no country exists by itself. There are representatives of foreign powers on our land who are also keenly interested in the outcome of these electoral processes. And sometimes they have a better picture inside, unfortunately, than us who are supposed to be citizens of that country. So, no fears, no worries. I wanted to also insist on the fact that Kenneth keeps saying that we, as a party, we have used up the state house and using it for international for audiences from several segments of the society. I was mentioning, and I want to correct that, because when you see the general commander of the Africom come to the Unity Palace just recently to speak about regional security, that is a very strong endorsement about the role of peace diplomacy, and it fortifies the international standing of Cameroon in terms of its regional and global leadership. So we have to be very careful. It's not just what you see, it is also the perception that the international community have had and continues to have about the policy and politics of the CPDM candidate Paul Biya, who is running again. This is what I try to project so that you understand. Try to look at the bigger picture. There is something that is called Vox Populi, and you can say what you want. You can appeal to the feelings of people as much as you want. At the end of the day, it is the will of the people that triumph. You cannot, for 43 years, stay in power if the people are not with you. I don't care how much of a dictator or a tyrant you are. The voice of the people is almost divine. And in that case, you cannot go against the will of the divine. When you see continuously, irrespective of what these opposition parties are saying, people going and voting for this candidate, there is something there. And this something is based on what Cameroonians are not stupid. Look at the records, the social development, the education, expansion of universities all over the regions, healthcare, youth empowerment, things that are really of prime importance in the lives of normal people. These people, and again, it's good, politics is right. We can compare and contrast. But the ordinary man, villager, or city dweller knows that regardless, this regime is the one that will deliver. Ideas are cheap, execution is hard. You have to know Paul Biya has a string of achievements that are looked upon. The other day, I think it was the Islamic Bank that granted us about 6 billion CFA to reinforce our educational policies and keep going with the infrastructural developments that's necessary for an educated
You,
population.
Hubert, we have to leave it there.
Okay.
Um, thank you. I think I would get your final thoughts. Donna, do you? It seems we live in different countries or universes with what Hubert is saying, based on the 43 years of stewardship of Cameroon. I think he has tried to enumerate a litany or of achievements of Bia's leadership in Cameroon. And I think he argues pretty strongly that it is a voice of the people. The people are the ones who are voting. And if it happens that the people decide to vote Bia again, what would you really say about these people that we call the people of Cameroon?
Thomas Sankara disait chaque peuple a les dirigeants qui méritent. Ça, c'est une pensée qui me tient beaucoup. Chaque peuple a les dirigeants qui méritent. Vous ne pouvez pas souffrir pour un peuple. Je prends le cas de la diaspora. Nous sommes à la diaspora. Nous nous battons pour les gens qui sont au Cameroun. Parce que nous qui sommes à la diaspora, on peut vivre ici aisément, vivre nos vies sans problème. Tous les risques que nous prenons à parler contre ce gouvernement, ce régime, c'est d'abord pour le peuple camerounais qui souffre et que nous voyons. It's a very big shame. Quand j'entends, on nous dit que le bilan de Paul Biya de 43 ans, qu'on donne des éloges à un bilan de 43 ans. Quand vous regardez le Cameroun aujourd'hui, je suppose que le monsieur du RDPC est aux États-Unis, je pense bien. Quand il regarde le bilan du... D'accord, on est dans un pays où vous pouvez vivre en Virginie, vous roulez 1-2 heures de route chaque jour pour venir travailler au Maryland. Vous êtes dans un... On vous parle d'un pays, monsieur, où des gens n'ont pas de route, où les gens n'ont pas d'eau, où on voit des gens perdre leurs enfants parce qu'ils partent creuser de l'eau. On vous parle d'un pays où les gens sont en train de mourir. Vos militants sont morts parce qu'ils partaient à un meeting en traversant un pont en bois. Leur voiture est tombée dans l'eau, vous avez perdu des militants. Vous nous parlez d'un pays où des gens ne parviennent pas. Quand on parle de l'éducation, de quelle éducation parlez-vous, monsieur? De quelle éducation est-ce que vous parlez aux Camerounais? Vous pensez que l'éducation, c'est construire des salles de classe, monsieur? Quand vous regardez aujourd'hui le niveau éducatif du Cameroun, vous pensez que ça s'adapte au niveau mondial? On vous parle d'une refonte du système éducatif. Si vous avez compris tout cela, même la crise anglophone ne devait pas avoir lieu. Vous nous parlez d'un bilan élogieux. Monsieur Paul Biya a fait son temps. Il a donné du meilleur de lui. Même 0, c'est une note. Lorsque vous notez à l'école, on vous donne 0. Ça veut dire qu'on vous a noté. Vous n'êtes pas nul, vous êtes juste neutre. Mais vous avez eu 0. Actuellement, il est temps que... Vous avez parlé également d'un truc qui m'a écouté, monsieur, avec votre permission, bien sûr. Il nous dit que si monsieur Biya s'est maintenu depuis une quarantaine d'années, c'est parce qu'il était fort. Il nous a dit dans son propos, ne dis pas au pouvoir qui veut, mais qui peut. Comprenez bien, ne dis pas au pouvoir qui veut, mais qui peut. Vous pensez sincèrement, lorsque la crise anglophone s'est tenue, et quand vous dites que M. Biya a gagné les élections dans les zones anglophones, vous prenez ça au sérieux? Que vous êtes la cause des malheurs d'une population, que vous êtes ceux-là qui avaient abattu des populations, vous nous dites que c'est ces populations-là qui sont prêts, qui veulent au moins le fédéralisme, pour lequel nous-mêmes nous pensons que c'est la meilleure façon de gérer le Cameroun aujourd'hui. Parce que pour construire une école à Manfé, il faut que vous écrivez au départemental. Le départemental écrit au provincial. Le provincial envoie à Yaoundé. Pour construire une école, il faut faire 10 ans, juste dans la procédure. On vous dit de laisser les communes, laisser les communes se gérer. Vous nous expliquez quel bilan concrètement. Vous pensez que M. Biya a duré là parce que... Non, monsieur, c'est parce qu'il tient le Cameroun du main de fer. Il utilise les moyens d'État, il utilise l'armée, il utilise tout ce qui est à son possible pour se maintenir. Et je vais vous dire quelque chose. Ce gouvernement aujourd'hui est prêt que si 100 000 Camerounais se mettent dans la rue, ils seront prêts à les tuer, même s'il le faut, pour se maintenir au pouvoir. Sachez que le peuple camerounais, plus que jamais, doit comprendre que 2025, c'est un autre mindset que vous deviez avoir. 2025, c'est je vote et je suis prêt à mourir pour mon vote. Je ne peux pas voter et quelqu'un écrit pour envoyer à Yaoundé que c'est pas moi, que c'est pas ça. Soyez prêts, 2025 ne sera pas facile. Et quelque chose que je vais dire également aux leaders des partis d'opposition. À défaut de ne pas trouver un candidat consensuel, trouvez au moins une plateforme consensuelle dans laquelle qui pourra vous permettre de contrôler vos votes. Parce que chaque parti a sa plateforme. Chaque parti crée sa plateforme pour justifier que c'est la meilleure plateforme. Arrêtez ce bullshit. Vous avez besoin, excusez-moi du mot, vous avez besoin, à défaut de ne pas vous trouver un candidat consensuel, de vous asseoir. Mais je pense que Akere Mouna, vous avez dit tout à l'heure, a dit, il supplie dans une lettre, M. Bello, d'écouter, de se mettre, de s'entendre avec Issa Tchiroma. Je pense que si les deux se mettent ensemble, Akere Mouna les suit, le professeur Kamto se met avec eux, les 4 éléments là d'abord peuvent amener d'autres à fédérer derrière eux. Comme je vous ai dit, on a besoin d'un point de départ. Si le SDF a eu la notoriété qu'ils ont eu aujourd'hui, c'est parce qu'en 92, on voyait en Fondi quelqu'un de charismatique, de fort, d'un leader qui pouvait, et on l'a soutenu. C'est pas parce que Fondi était le seul candidat. Aujourd'hui, le SDF peut être celui-là qu'on va soutenir. Demain, ça peut être un autre cas, mais laissons nos égos de côté. Chaque parti pense qu'il est le plus fort, qu'il est le plus beau. On n'est plus au temps du défilé de mode. On est au temps de la réalité politique. Laissez-nous les programmes politiques, laissez le bavardage. On veut renverser Biya et après on fera les programmes politiques consensuels.
Thank you, Donald. Alexis, I am going to come to you for your final thoughts. I think I heard Hubert saying in part of his discussions that the CPDM has governed with the SDF. And I think he enumerated the successes of the CPDM and Biya as the leader of that party and the leader of Cameroon for the past 43 years. Do you agree with that narrative?
Je pense que c'est la preuve que le CPDM, enfin le RDPC a peur. Il commence à chercher les amis autour d'eux. Le SDF n'a pas gouverné avec vous. Jamais le SDF n'a été au pouvoir avec vous. Le SDF a été au Parlement, comme les autres partis d'opposition ont été au Parlement. Le SDF a eu ses mairies que vous avez bloquées avec le FECOM. À Douala 1, à Douala 2, à Douala 3, à Douala 4, à Douala 5. Je peux citer autant de mairies que vous avez torpillées. Actuellement, vous torpillez la mairie de Loum et la mairie de Mombo. Il ne faudrait pas que vous veniez aujourd'hui, quand vous êtes en perte de vitesse, quand toute une nation vous a vomi, quand tout le peuple, même votre propre fille vous vomit, vous venez aujourd'hui, vous cherchez des alliés. Nous ne serons jamais l'allié du RDPC. John Frundi a préféré mourir dans l'anonymat, si vous voulez que je le dise, à Yaoundé, que de mourir à Santa ou bien là-bas à Tarikon avec votre garde. Nous, aujourd'hui, nous ne sommes pas avec vous et nous n'avons jamais été avec vous. Ceci dit, je rejoins Donald et mon collègue et mon grand frère du CIP peut s'asseoir déjà pour noter et essayer de trouver les points où il va dire qu'il nous a nommés dans son gouvernement, où il nous a nommés comme délégués, ou alors il nous a nommés quelque part. Mais c'est une honte qu'en 2025, un Camerounais qui a encore tous ses sens parvient à nous dire que le Cameroun est bien géré. Qu'un Camerounais qui a encore tous ses sens puisse me dire aujourd'hui que Biya a gagné les élections. Quand ses propres ministres disent qu'ils ont perdu les élections, quand nous avons les membres éminents du RDPC, en l'occurrence, je pense, il s'appelle encore qui Albert Zongan, un éminent membre du RDPC, qui a avoué sur des chaînes de télévision qu'ils ont truqué les élections en 92. Ils ont truqué les élections après 92. En 2018, ils ont encore truqué les élections. Ils avaient perdu. Et aujourd'hui, on ose me dire que M. Biya aurait un jour gagné une élection au Cameroun. C'est pour ça que le SDF a été clair. Même quand le dossier de Maurice Kamto a été arrêté au niveau de l'ECAM. Rappelez-vous que le SDF a refusé d'aller à Fumban. Parce que le SDF disait qu'on doit d'abord finir cette histoire qui est à la Cour constitutionnelle. Maintenant, nous disons nous allons aller aux élections. Et je peux vous promettre que les Camerounais mettront dans les bulletins, dans les comment on les appelle encore, les urnes, leur choix. Et cette année, vous avez l'obligation de respecter ce que les Camerounais disent. On est quand même fatigué que je passe 13 heures à l'entrée de Douala pour entrer dans Bonabéry. Et quelqu'un ose me dire, vous allez m'excuser vraiment, Kenneth, monsieur Kenneth, c'est quand même un peu révoltant de venir sur un plateau comme le vôtre, aussi respectable que le vôtre, et d'écouter quelqu'un me pondre que le RDPC a bien géré le Cameroun. Quand vous faites 13 heures à l'entrée de Bonabéry, juste pour aller jusqu'à 4 étages, on devrait avoir honte. Quand vous voyez les salles de classe qui nagent sur l'eau, on devrait avoir honte. Quand vous voyez les enfants sous les palmiers faire l'école, on devrait avoir honte. On devrait avoir quand même un peu de respect pour les Camerounais. Venir sur ce plateau et dire que le RDPC a bien géré la nation. Mais de quelle nation nous parlons? Quand
Yeah.
vous êtes un fonctionnaire, vous finissez votre fonction publique, vous voulez avoir votre pension retraite. On vous fesse au niveau de la CNPS à Yaoundé. Vous me dites que c'est ça ce que nous on vit aux États-Unis, c'est ce qu'on vit en Allemagne, c'est ce qu'on vit en Belgique. Est-ce que c'est même ce qu'on vit au Nigeria? Non, mes frères, quand on a échoué, on avoue son échec. Ce n'est pas une honte d'aller en retraite. Comment est-ce que quelqu'un peut m'expliquer aujourd'hui que monsieur veut rester au pouvoir de 1962 jusqu'à aujourd'hui, à 92 ans? Mais mes amis, quand même, quand vous parlez, quand même, contrôlons-nous. Il y a des gens qui nous suivent et qui pensent que nous sommes quand même des personnes qui sont à l'étranger. Nous sommes des gens qui avions vu ce qui se fait ailleurs et qui se fait bien. Nous ne pouvons pas venir aujourd'hui ici et pondre des
Al-
choses pareilles. Et
Alexis,
c'est pour ça que je le dis. Non, excusez-moi, monsieur Kenneth, je suis vraiment outragé. Je
uh,
suis vraiment outragé de voir que des choses pareilles peuvent se passer sur un plateau,
yes, we
surtout
have
pour
to
nous qui
leave
sommes à
it. We have to
l'Occident.
leave it like that. I think we're
Maintenant,
definitely going to
pour
continue this
finir,
conversation sometime. We're running out of time. I understand the passion and the emotions. Um, Hubert, 1 minute for your last thought, and then we'll get to Kenneth for his final thoughts. We are out of time, gentlemen. I would plead. Uh, Alexis, we would definitely want to have you back in the studio. So the campaign is just starting, as you indicated. Is that 27? So the studio is quite open, and you should be looking forward to an invitation from us. Hubert, your final thought, please.
No, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to be here and to also my fellow panelists, especially the passion and emotions that was brought into the game by my CTF brother. I just want to insist on a certain historical point. You know, democracy and modern states is a recent event in the Cameroon political space, as well as many other young democracies in the African continent. And we are definitely in a learning process where we are taking our time and adapting to this new infusion of human organization that was introduced by the colonialists in our history. If you look at these often cited comparisons about me living in the United States and look at things, you cannot do that. You can't afford to do that because even those who live in the European continent, if you look at the historiography of that continent, you will understand that for years, centuries, they were under the leadership of monarchs, of kings, of lineages, blood lineages, who did not, as a matter of fact, contest power with the members of that country. It took hundreds of years of gradual evolution for the new democratic thought that has fomented so much development in those societies. All we are asking is that that same patience and attention be given to young democracies such as us. It is a gradual game. Whoever comes and pretends that he's going to make these things happen overnight is just plain lying to you. You know, again, Cameroonians, as you know, if you look at our history, we come from small or cultural kingdoms that were very strong and commanded the loyalty of their subjects. It is just 40 some years that we are trying to build a notion of state. There is another thing that is called res publica, which is the connotation of respecting the public property as opposed to private property. There is a lot that we still have to learn in becoming a nation. And the reason that we are so enthusiastic with our candidate Pobia is because he incarnates, he of everyone understands the challenges that are in front of us as a young budding democracy. That is why he's still there. And this is why other countries have a high regard for our democracy. They have a high regard for our leadership, and they trust in us so much as to provide funds. Let me end with this. You know, I was born in the 60s. So when I'm telling you about roads, I'm telling you about colleges and lycées and hospitals, it's because I lived through them. I used to, Boya that you see, I went to Lycée Bilingue de Mouliko, and that's where I graduated from. That place was a bush in 1980. When I left there, it was a vast plantation and some. But you see that transformation that has happened. Just for example, do you think it just happened because the Boyo indigenes were very industrious or are very industrious? That has been a planned action to develop that part of the country, as well as other things. The port in Kribi, which is bringing $600 million of revenue. Do you think those things are happening? I grant, I agree, there are shortcomings. We can do better, we always can, and we're hoping to do better. I'm
Thank
just
you, but
saying that it's a gradual game, and no one should come and fool you that if you change head parties, leadership, or candidacy in a new president, in 5 years you're going to have paradise on earth. That is not the way it works. Thank you.
thank you, Hubert. Kenneth, please 1 minute for your final thoughts.
Yes. Emmanuel Macron of France was voted. I don't think he had a political party, if I right.
He
Okay.
formed his own political
Yes,
party.
he formed his own political party and basically he was voted into office, right? But in Cameroon, you have to go through a political party. That's the process over there. So Maurice Kanto had to do what he did in order to fulfill the Cameroonian processes. Now, there are 11 candidates. I really want to appeal. It is true that if we have free and fair elections, we don't even need any consensus candidate as such or one oppositional candidate. However, should we have a candidate against Paul Biya, then of course it makes the process of tricking the elections, which they've now practiced as an art and very blatantly so nowadays, it makes it a whole lot more difficult. So I really want to appeal. Cameroon has been ruled, it's 60 years since independence. Amadou Ahidjo, a northerner, and then today we have Paul Biya from the south, who is Lembe Yezum. Want to appeal to the consciences of the people that the third president should come from the English-speaking part of Cameroon. So if they can have their consensus and rally around an English-speaking candidate, that would be very nice. This election in 2025 is a protest vote on the monarchical presidency of Paul Biya. It is Cameroonians should exercise that protest vote. It's not because you like or love Issa Tchiroma or like or love Akeremuna. Exercise that protest vote on Paul Biya and let him get out of there. Finally, I want to say that Paul Biya, I believe he still has a little bit of time to gracefully exit the stage. And the ingredients are very ripe in Cameroon for what has happened elsewhere. And as they say in French, if I may actually try and speak some French here, il a entré à la magistrature suprême par la grande porte. Peut-être il sortira par la fenêtre. Should he not make hay while the sun shines?
And on that, thank you, Kenneth. I want to thank our viewers worldwide. I want to thank Alexis, the SDF president in Europe, who joined us from Germany. I want to thank my brother Hubert, the political analyst and affiliate to the CPDM. I want to thank Donald Mienge of MROC, who is here in the studio with us, and our permanent consultant, Kenneth Nde, for these very vibrant but engaging conversations. I think it is imperative and very important to all and sundry who are engaged in these conversations on the future of that country, Cameroon. In as much as we are all very passionate, sometimes emotionally driven, I pray and hope that the civility that is demonstrated here should be what should transpire among all Cameroonians. I think the engagement also depends on the people in the diaspora, and what we've been trying to do here with media to Africa is to find ways to engage and harness the resources and the knowledge base of some of our people here in the diaspora. So once again, thank you, and thank you to our technical director, Mr. Jules Lati. Please, wherever you are, be safe, and thank you.